Just showed you on screen the man who has captained and navigated BYU and the athletics department from independent status and a group of five now into a Power 5 conference. He joins us live, Tom Holmoe, the BYU Athletic Director. I feel like I should congratulate you now that the schedule has become official. You don't have to answer any more questions about when's the schedule going to come out, Tom?
It's out.
When's next year's schedule coming out, Tom?
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, I like the look, by the way. You got like the Mr. Rogers sweater going. You got the blue pants. The sneaks are excellent.
Day. It's a big day. I figured I'd get a little dressed up.
Yeah,
let's go.
It is a big day. Do you have some more time on your hands now that the schedule's out?
Oh, man, I knew the schedule long before you guys did.
Of course.
I knew a lot of the things that you guys are putting out there today, so I've already kind of passed that. Now I'm just anxious about the games. So
it's February.
I mean, you guys are going to have to tell me about the schedule, because all I know is that we got some big games ahead.
And how much were you involved? Because it was all you, pretty much, as an independent, now that it's in a conference.
Right. It's very, very little. Your input with the ADs. You're in a room with ADs, and it's not like you're in a scheduling room. You're basically looking at parameters. So the Big 12 had Scott Draper, who's the VP over football right now, and they have some great veteran administrators, Bob Berta, Tim Weiser, that can help with the scheduling. And then they employ also some gurus. So I just knew from experience that they would put together a schedule with 14 teams. It's pretty amazing. And you have some parameters. So all I was able to say is, we got to make sure we get General Conference weekend off. And they gave us a Friday night game with Cincinnati.
So was that them just being nice, or were they like, yes, we will honor that, and in the future as much as we can? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, we asked that question before we got invited into the league. It was that important for us. Is that
to have that Saturday open?
Yeah, and it basically, there's a number of ways that you can do it. One is the new broadcast partners, they want non-Saturday football games. And we raised our hand and said, we'll take them.
You're still willing to play a Thursday or Friday?
I think it's a little bit of a tradition with BYU that Friday night games or Thursday night games, you're the only team on TV. How long have we been doing that?
Yeah.
We've been doing that for a long time.
30 plus years.
And I think it's something that our fans are used to. I'll get some letters and evil voicemails about how I'm driving from Southern California to the game and I can't get home on time on Friday night or Thursday night. But I think it's part of our tradition. The other part about it is you could have a bye, or you could, those are the things that we'd ask for. Every team asks for something special and they might not get it, but that's why it's so critically important that they wait until they get it right. And I think that with every time someone asks me, when's it coming? I always knew, look, it's going to come out, it's going to be right. And I think they did a great job.
Yeah.
So other than it just being right and BYU getting that Friday night game, what's your favorite part about the entirety of the first Big 12 schedule?
Just looking at it and seeing where's the breather. There's no more breathers. And, I say that in jest because we've dissected these schedules for how long now? A long time. And even when we were in the Mountain West Conference, those non-conference games and where we played them and when and who, those were all factors. And now you look at those games and, like, I don't have anything to do with those 9 games we're playing. They're going to be on a rotation. The one thing that everybody understands is that Texas and Oklahoma, whether it's next year they'll be out or the year after they'll be out, there's going to have to be a new kind of schedule parameters because you take them out of it. There's some interesting things about Bedlam. You got Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, and that's going to change. And there's Texas, Oklahoma. That was so much a part of the Big 12 schedule that's gone. There's a lot of factors that Cougar fans probably wouldn't see the nuance of it in a schedule. But as I listen in that room, I'm like a kid now. I'm a new learner. I have to learn a whole new set of traditions and great inspirational things that people feel from their own school. And it's cool to listen to Kansas and Kansas State and UCF and all the schools, West Virginia, what's important to them in the schedule. And it's not like who they play when, But just these, I can't even begin to tell you how many little intricacies there are.
Regarding some of those parameters, was one of them that you'd never play more than 2 home or 2 road in a row? Is that a thing? Because I like that. You're never going to be overloaded either way.
They always will try to do that. And in some, like in the WCC, I think everybody tries to do that, but sometimes they'll come back and go, hey, we had to do this, but we'll rotate it next year so you won't have to do it 2 years in a row.
So it might happen in the future.
It could happen in the future,
Gotcha.
yes.
Yeah.
Does BYU in the Big 12 Conference feel more real in any way now that the schedule's out and like things are starting to happen at a really quick pace?
Well, I think it was real when we signed our name on the dotted line a year and a half ago, and we've been preparing for this moment for a year and a half. But this is a kind of an integral part of what a season is. Everybody waits for the NFL schedule to see what those Monday night games are going to be, just like everybody wants to see the college schedule. But like I'm literally, I love the show that we're doing today, but I'm thinking about the games now.
Yeah.
And those matchups. And you start thinking about not just the team, but how is our defensive left tackle going to do against their right guard? That's what I'm thinking about, because that's
the coach in you too, right?
Players make plays,
Yeah.
and it starts macro, and then it goes micro, and when it comes time for fall, that's what Cougar Nation is going to be thinking about, those matchups, and I'm already there.
Okay, obviously you have strived to make the best schedules you possibly could. There were some really interesting November games right here and there, but to have November with at West Virginia, Iowa State, Oklahoma at Oklahoma State, Oklahoma on Senior Day, 4 P5s there. What does that sort of look like to you, given how hard it was to get those meaningful games in Independence in November?
I think it's kind of the details of the overall conference affiliation. We've been talking about this for years. You've been tearing up my independent schedules for 11 years, and now you like a schedule. That's hard to believe.
If I knew it was ramping up to this, I never would have said it, probably.
No, but I think that that November, you go into there, and it's just what a P5 schedule looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone around the country right now, the ACC announced their schedule yesterday. I took a little glimpse at it. It's pretty similar. And everybody has tough games, and you try to look at blocks. That's one of the things I'm doing right now, is I'm looking at blocks of games and trying to figure rest and strength and how you could kind of, like you guys are thinking, is this a win or a loss? It's probably too early to tell. But, you know, some people are going, we're going to win it all, we're undefeated. Some people, I saw somebody that tweeted at me, well, I see 2 wins, the first 2 non-conference games. And I'm thinking, oh, it could be that way.
But that's sports, right? And I love the coach in you comes out a lot, which is great. And the competitor of, well, TCU was underestimated last year. There can be an overestimation. There can be an underestimation. But the point is, BYU's waited for this moment to have this challenge and opportunity. And now, as we've talked about, the ramp up of independence, we feel, has prepared BYU for this more than if you had jumped from G5 to P5. Do you feel that same way?
I don't think there's any question. I mean, it's been decades in the making. I think it's like the dream of Cougars from Lavelle's day till now. It's real. I think people feel it palpably on schedule release day. I didn't really anticipate that the schedule release was that big of a deal, because every year there's a schedule and you're going to play the games. You got to play them.
Yeah.
But I get it. I get how it makes it a little bit more real.
We almost love a schedule more than the games, it feels like. Like, the idea of the schedule is very exciting to people.
Yeah. I guess for me, like these 11 years, I get tired of the schedule because I do it 365. Now I'm like, okay, someone else does it for me?
Fantastic.
Okay, I got that.
How hard is it to cancel a lot of these games, by the way? Because you wrote into the contracts, right? If we get into a P5 league, we're...
I mean, I have to give kudos to Dave Brown. Everyone on the show knows that we couldn't have done Independence without his help. Dave, obviously the guru of scheduling, and he knew who's available and who wasn't, and when you could play and why you could play and how you could get a game down the road. And if you do this, they'll give you that. That was miraculous. And, you know, I just think that Oh man, that just all of that in the making. It seemed like a dream.
Athletic director.
Sometimes it was a nightmare.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Well, again, the athletic director who has put up with all of that, Tom Holmoe, is with us on BYU Sports Nation. We do want to ask you one more question about scheduling, not as it pertains to football, but the first sports that are actually going to play Big 12 games, women's volleyball and women's soccer.
These are done, right? They just haven't been released?
Yeah, I think that they have been working on them for the same period of time. It's a different group. But I think you have to understand that when you're looking at a football schedule now, a football game in any one of these cities now or towns overtakes the town, overtakes the city,
Yeah.
the hotel, and everything. And it's not like a West Coast conference where soccer and volleyball don't have to put up with football. So now that soccer and football schedule, or soccer and volleyball, has to be predicated on football. Because you can't, I'm not going to say you can't, you don't really want to be in town when you're having a home football game.
Interesting.
And so that's why those are waiting, just to make sure that all those little nuances of the football, now they have to go through with a fine-tooth comb with volleyball and soccer and make sure that there are not too many conflicts with the big boys.
As the guys that call those games, we are excited about that.
Very excited.
Yeah.
And we're excited that you might have a few more vacation days now that you don't have to do scheduling anymore, Tom.
I don't think I can take a vacation. I just think now, we got invited into this conference about a year and a half ago. And for a year and a half, we've been going pretty full speed.
For sure.
There's a big ramp up. There's a lot of work to be done. A lot of work's been done. But I think that we have some momentum in preparation, and a lot of that momentum comes from the teams. And you look at like all these things like signing day. That's a big part of what we do. Without the players in all these sports, we never would have got here. I love looking back and just looking at the names of the players and the coaches and the years of the teams that made this possible. It wasn't the last 11 years of independence was an interesting chapter in the book, but this book started a long time ago. And that's why I think everybody has this excitement, because so many people contributed to where we are right now. And we're going to need more people contributing, invested fully to make it work. Because we're here now, but what's the sense in getting there if you don't do anything about it? And I'm looking forward to the first game will be soccer. That will be the first game. And when that happens, then's when I'm going to say, okay.
It's here.
It's here. It's real.
And that Big 12 logo's on the pitch. Let's
Love
go.
it. Tom, thanks for the time. We know how busy you are, and we appreciate you spending some time with us.
Super. Let's go, guys.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Okay.